The Geirangerfjord is one of the most visited places in Norway. Together with the Fjord, it was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2005. But what many tourists don't realize is that Geiranger itself is a tiny village of around 300 permanent residents. In peak season, several cruise ships arrive daily, bringing thousands of people into a place that was never built to handle them. In this video, we will show you how to experience Geiranger properly, where to go, what to see, and how to avoid the biggest mistakes tourists make here. Unlike Flom, Geiranger is an actual village where people live. It sits at the end of the fjord, a small community that has been completely overrun by tourists. The harbor area has many shops, restaurants, and activity companies. Further up is the Norwegian Fjord Center, where you can learn about the fjord's geology and history. There are cruise ships nearly every day during the season. If you're watching from shore, you'll notice two different systems. The Seawalk is a 236-meter floating pier that opened in 2014. It can only accommodate one cruise ship at a time. So when multiple ships arrive on the same day, the others have to anchor in the fjord and use tender boats to shuttle passengers to shore. This takes much longer and eats into the time passengers have to explore. Some cruise passengers don't even arrive by ship. Those docking in Nordfjordeid sometimes take a bus tour to Geiranger. That's a 2-hour drive each way, so they have very limited time here before heading back. One thing you'll notice when cruise ships are in: the exhaust. You can see a gray haze hanging over the fjord. It's not great for the views or the air quality. That's why soon only electric cruise ships will be allowed in the Geirangerfjord. If you stay overnight, you'll notice the village becomes peaceful in the evening once the day trippers leave. That's actually the best time to explore. One thing you'll notice walking around: some buildings have signs saying they are not hotels or restaurants. The elderly home and kindergarten both have these signs. Tourists have apparently wandered in looking for accommodation or food. These are private facilities. Don't enter unless you have relatives there. And definitely don't photograph the children when they play in the yard. The Hurtigruten also stops here, but that's different from the cruise ships. It only stays for about 20 minutes while passengers get on or off, then continues its route. Flydalsjuvet is probably Norway's most photographed viewpoint. You've seen the pictures, someone standing on that overhanging rock with the fjord below. Here's what the pictures don't show you. There's a fence around that rock, and it's there for a very good reason. The drop is around 100 meters straight down. If there is a fence in Norway, it means real danger. It's not decoration. It's not being overly cautious. Yet every day, tourists climb over the fence to get that Instagram shot. We have plenty of footage of people doing exactly this. Travel blogs even give instructions on how to bypass what they call the miniature wire fence. This has been going on for years. Already, in 2011, documented the national broadcast NRK tourists climbing over the fence. So it's pure luck nobody has died there yet. The official viewpoints are perfectly good. There are 2 levels with viewing platforms, including the Fjordsetet, the Queen's Chair, which was unveiled by Queen Sonja in 2003. You get the same view without risking your life. Getting there. Cars use the lower car park, then you walk up to the main viewpoint. Parking is limited. You may have to wait a couple of minutes until someone leaves, especially when cruise ships are in. We can only cover so much in a video. For the full stories when you're in Norway, check out the Explore Norway app. Link below. Ørnesvingen is the famous Eagle Road viewpoint, located after 11 hairpin bends on the way to Eidsdal. The viewpoint is at 620 meters and gives you a panoramic view over the fjord, the Seven Sisters waterfall, and the abandoned farm at Knivsflo on the opposite mountainside. This is probably the most famous view of Norway. As usual, it's difficult to park there. This road only opened in 1955, giving Geiranger its first year-round connection to the outside world. Before that, you could only reach the village by boat, or over mountain passes that were closed most of the year. Despite what you might read online, The road is not that bad. It's actually quite wide. You won't have major problems with oncoming traffic, but there can be a lot of traffic there. Dalsnibba is the mountain viewpoint at 1,500 meters, reached via a toll road. From the Geiranger skywalk platform, you can see the entire fjord below. It's Europe's highest fjord view, accessible by road. The toll road costs 350 kroner in 2025 and has 11 hairpin bends with a 10% gradient. It usually opens in late May, depending on snow, and closes in September or October. Here's my honest advice. Check the weather before you go. We were there in 2012 with fog. We saw shit. Nothing. Complete waste of time and money. But that time, the toll road was much cheaper. The weather at 1,500 meters can be completely different from the village below. They have webcams. Use them. If it's clear, it's worth every kroner. If it's not, save your money. You might see Knuten mentioned as an attraction. This is not a hike. It's a historic 270-degree road loop built in 1882 under the direction of Ole Knutsen Moen. The design was meant to reduce the gradient, so horses and carts could manage the climb. We actually drove on it years ago, before it was closed to cars. But the road was in a bad state already. Now you can only walk or cycle on it. Honestly, it's enough to see it from the main road. It's an interesting piece of engineering history, but not worth a special stop unless you're really into old road construction. The Fossevandring is the first part of a longer trail called Fosserosa, which was certified as Norway's first national hiking trail in 2019. The Fossevandring itself connects the harbor to Hotel Union and the Norwegian Fjord Center. It has 327 steps alongside the Storfossen waterfall and covers about 1.2 kilometers with 85 meters of elevation. Free, open year-round, takes about 30 to 40 minutes from the village center. If you want to continue, the trail goes on to Westerdalsfossen Farm. That section is another 1.5 kilometers on a stone-laid path built by Nepali Sherpas. At the farm, you'll find sheep, goats, and llamas. From Westerås, the trail continues another 1.5 kilometers to Storseterfossen, a waterfall at 550 meters, where you can actually walk behind the cascading water. The whole route from Geiranger to Storseterfossen and back takes around 4 to 5 hours. So you can do just the short Fossevandring to stretch your legs, or continue all the way up for a proper hike, with a unique waterfall experience at the end. The hike to Skageflå is one of the best hikes in the area, though it's not for everyone. Skageflå is an abandoned mountain farm 250 meters above the fjord, directly opposite the Seven Sisters waterfall. It was a working farm from the Middle Ages until 1918, and despite its remote location, it was actually one of the wealthiest farms in the area, because of the lush pastures higher up. There's a local legend about how one of the last farmers there removed the ladders from the rock face to stop the taxman from reaching the farm. Apparently, it worked. Norwegian tax avoidance at its finest. Even if the hike is short, it's very steep, and often slippery because it's frequently wet up there. The trail is exposed in places with secured sections using ropes and fences. For that reason, we have to give the red difficult label. Most people take the Fjord cruise boat from Geiranger to Skageflå, the landing point below the farm. The boat drops you off, you hike up, then take a later boat back. The climb takes about 45 minutes. Here's the problem. You're on a schedule. The boats run at fixed intervals. If you miss your return boat, you're waiting between 1.5 hours and 3 hours for the next one, and you can't run down. The trail is too steep and slippery. Oh, and in low season, there are only 2 boats per day. We encounter a group of Spanish tourists on our way up. By the time we were ready to go down, they had just arrived at Skageflå. We told them that they have to either run down with us, which they clearly couldn't, or wait for the next boat in 3 hours. They were not happy to hear that. People have been refused access by the captain because of improper footwear. Wear proper hiking boots. To book. Get your ticket online or at the ticket office in Geiranger. When you board, tell them you want to get off at Skageflå. For coming back, just wait at the pier. There's an old tire on the side of the cliff that serves as the landing point. Make yourself visible so the captain sees you. If you want to avoid the time pressure, you can hike the entire way from Geiranger. It's about 8 kilometers one way, with 550 meters of elevation gain. Takes at least 3 hours to get there. You can do a loop via Homlong Viewpoint, which is around 6.5 kilometers total if you still use the boat for one direction. There are 2 ways to see the fjord from the water: the car ferry or the sightseeing boat. The car ferry runs between Geiranger and Hellesylt. The journey takes about 75 minutes and passes the Seven Sisters, the Suter, and the Bridal Veil waterfalls. There's only one operator, Fjord. Prices have increased. For summer 2025, a car with 2 passengers costs around 1,069 kroner. Walk-on passengers pay about 525 kroner return. Book in advance if you want to use a specific time, especially in high season. The ferry can sell out within a day. The sightseeing boats are smaller and do a round trip from Geiranger without going all the way to Hellesylt. The advantage is that they can get closer to the shore and the waterfalls. And because you're sitting lower in the water, the cliffs and waterfalls look more impressive. If you just want to experience the fjord without continuing your journey to Hellesylt, the sightseeing boat is the better option. Just don't expect anything fancy. It's a regular diesel boat, not one of those electric catamarans like in Flom. The MS Geirangerfjord is like an institution that has sailed the fjord since 1982. RIB boat tours are also available. They're faster and get you even closer to the waterfalls, but they're more expensive and much noisier. In 2015, the Norwegian disaster film Bulgen depicted an 80-meter tsunami destroying Geiranger after a mountain collapse. This is not science fiction. It's based on a real threat from the unstable Ørnesvingen mountain a few kilometers north. Similar rock slides killed over 200 people at Fjord and Loen in the early 20th century. The mountain is monitored 24/7 and warning sirens are installed. Residents would have about 10 minutes to reach higher ground. The film actually underestimates the danger. They had to save on the visual effects budget, so the disaster plays at night, when there are no cruise ships. In reality, a cruise ship would be slammed into the mountainside. Be warned, staying in Geiranger is really expensive, and in high season, hotels can sell out months in advance. We booked 3 days before arriving in mid-season, and it was sold out by the time we checked in. There are a few hotels in the area: Hotel Union, Havila Hotel at the harbor, Hotel Utsikten near Flydalsjuvet, and Grande Fjord Hotel outside the village. There are also camping sites and cabins. If you stay overnight, you experience a completely different Geiranger. The cruise ship crowds leave, the village gets quiet, and you can actually enjoy the fjord in peace. But on the other hand, your restaurant options won't be that great, so you will need to eat at your hotel or make your own food. On the day of our visit, the Norwegian Air Force was exercising with their NATO allies on how to defend the Geirangerfjord from the Russians. F-35s followed by F-18. The fjords are used for military training, so you might see something similar. The amount of traffic on the narrow roads makes driving challenging. You'll encounter buses, campers, and lots of people who have no clue what they're doing. Be patient, and watch out for pedestrians walking in the middle of the road. To be fair, there are no sidewalks in most places. There is no free parking in Geiranger anymore. It starts at 40 Norwegian kroner per hour at all locations. The weather is often bad. Live with it. This is Western Norway. If you wait for perfect weather, you might wait forever. Except for the village, there's a large nature reserve with a drone interdiction. This is a bit ironic, considering they allow RIB boats on the fjord, which make hundreds of times more noise than a drone. But rules are rules. We only have limited drone footage from here because of this. The season runs roughly from May to October. The waterfalls are at their most impressive in spring and early summer when the snow is melting. September is quieter, but water levels are lower. So that's Geiranger. Check out one of our other videos about Western Norway.